Hi, it's Eleanor, and in this episode, I am going to share two macro forces that are shaping your business, whether you realize it or not, in the second half of 2021. Don't go anywhere. So here's the question. In a world where the rules of business have been written by men, how do women entrepreneurs like us, women who want to make millions of dollars and impact millions of lives, how do we create enormous success on our terms? That's the question, and this show explores the answers. Welcome to Power Presence Position. I'm your host, Eleanor Beaton, and I'm on a mission to double the number of women entrepreneurs who generate over $1 million per year in annual revenue. I'm an award-winning entrepreneur, author, and leadership coach. I'm a wife, mom of 2 boys, and I'm the CEO of a 7-figure business. Stick around because on this show, you'll learn how to think, communicate, and get paid like a 7-figure CEO. Let's go. Hello, my queens. This is Power Presence Position, episode number 463. And in today's episode, I am going to break down 2 macroeconomic forces that are shaping the world of your business in 2021. Now, most of the things, I think most of the results that you create in your business are under your ownership. So there are going to be circumstances that happen out in your market or in the world, and then you get to decide how you are going to respond or innovate or pivot to respond to those market forces. And one of the things that I've noticed is that because of sort of the crush of information that's directed at us, whether it's free trainings or tools or a Netflix special, or I'm recording this in July of 2021, so the Olympics, sometimes it's easy to kind of look over some of the more significant trends that are going to impact our reality as entrepreneurs, whether we are aware of it or not. So I have been paying very close attention and wanted to share 2 trends that I think are going to be impacting female founders and women entrepreneurs, certainly over the back half of 2021, so that you can sort of prepare yourself for them. So let's dive into force number 1. All right, so force number 1 is the ridiculous amount of cash that is in the economy right now, right? The ridiculous amount of cash that is in the economy right now. So if you are a regular listener to Power Presence Position, you may remember that in episode 433, I shared an episode called The Coming Pent Up Cash Extravaganza, and I was predicting the trend that we are seeing now. Basically, what we are seeing is that today's buyers, and these are both companies and individuals, so this applies whether you are selling B2B or B2C. Buyers are flush with unprecedented amounts of cash right now, and it's yours for the taking if you play your cards right. So again, I have mentioned this before, but this is happening across the world. But for instance, in the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, throughout Europe, households and businesses accumulated unprecedented amounts of cash. They saved a lot. So for instance, where I'm from in Canada, Canadian households amassed $212 billion in savings in the last year alone. Yes, Canadian householders, consumers are sitting on $212 billion in savings. You know how much they saved the year before that? $18 billion. That is a 1,080% increase in savings. Ladies, this is real money, and this is a mind-boggling amount of savings. It's come from 2 places. And, if you even think about your own spending habits, both in your company and, personally over the course of the last year. So we couldn't go anywhere for a huge part of 2020. We couldn't travel anywhere. We couldn't go out to eat. So the shutdowns meant that there were a lot less places to spend, so we didn't spend as much money. So we started saving, just like our grandparents did, remember? Second, many governments injected a ton of economic stimulus into the economy. Now, I have a beef about this because the amount of deficits that so many countries have run up means that my kids, and if you have kids, your kids, and the next generation are going to be working and getting taxed to the hilt to pay for that stimulus. But that is a rant for another day. We've got to stay awake to the forces that are going on and what our governments are doing and the long-term impacts that those things can have. Stimulus has long been a great way to buy votes. So anyway, that's a whole conversation for another day. And I'm not saying stimulus is wrong or bad or that help wasn't needed. I'm not insinuating any of that, but I am saying I think it's so important, especially for women entrepreneurs who have a voice, to challenge the decisions our governments are making. Are they the right decisions for society? Anyway, regardless, fight me on that if you want to. Send me an email if you disagree. There's a huge amount of savings. And if you don't have a plan in place, like if you are not really putting together a strong marketing and sales strategy for your company, you are missing out on a massive opportunity that we may not see the likes of again. We haven't seen this level of savings in decades, if not a century, right? So it is massive and your business can absolutely capitalize. But I want you to be very focused and concentrated on putting together a marketing and sales plan to get there. And honestly, if you don't have one in place, I will be straight up with you. The clock is running out because of force number 2. So force number 2 has been dubbed the Great Resignation. Let's dive into this next. All right, force number 2, shaping your business in the back half of 2021 is the Great Resignation. So the Great Resignation means you can expect your competition to double or triple in the next 12 months. The Great Resignation is a force that is impacting workers across North America and Europe for sure. I'm not sure if it is having the same impact in Latin America, in Africa, but certainly in Australia, in North America, and in Europe. And in short, millions of workers around the world are quitting their jobs because of the stress and weirdness of the last year and a half. In fact, a recent Monster.com survey found that 95% of the employees surveyed wanted to quit their jobs. Now, some of these employees are going to move on to other jobs that meet their needs better, but many others will pursue their dream of starting a business because on the surface, businesses are really easy to start. Of course, what these newbie entrepreneurs will discover is that it actually is much harder. It's very easy to start a business, much harder to make real money. The kind of money where you can set up a financial fortress, where you can build up really good cash reserves, pay yourselves well, generate good, solid profits, and have lots of time off. That is a lot harder. So if you are a marketing consultant, copywriter, HR consultant, leadership coach, whatever, you can and should expect to face serious competition from new entrepreneurs. And remember that many of these new entrepreneurs are experienced business leaders themselves. They're going to be leaving corporate America, corporate Australia, corporate Europe, corporate Canada with great experience, with good solid networks, and they're going to be starting new businesses. And most of these consultants and entrepreneurs, they can kind of swing it for a few months working through their warm network. It's after that, so they have a good solid, 12 months in them of working through their warm networks. Once they've sold their way through their warm networks, that's typically where entrepreneurs start to get into trouble. But for that 12 months, you're going to be facing stiff competition. And if you don't know how to really stand out and be in a category of one, you could find yourself starting to lose market share that you have worked so hard to create. All right. So if you don't have a clear niche, a compelling offer, and a strong message, if you don't know how to position yourself in a category of one, you will be positioned as an overpriced incumbent. So there is great news and challenging news. Actually, I think it's all great news because the reality is that having worthy rivals really calls us to step up. And it's not about playing other people's games. I think it's really about staying in your lane. And I don't mean that in a limiting way, but getting really clear on where are you going to be untouchable? What is your category that you are just going to dominate, that is going to be yours, where you're going to just contribute such incredible branding and attitude and value? It's been so interesting watching the Olympics. And, I was watching the triathlon the other day. And the key with a lot of these endurance races or races generally is to run your own race. And so you need to get clear on what your race is. Now, of course, this is the work that we do all day, every day in the Power Presence Position Business Accelerator. So if you are hearing this podcast, you are picking up what I'm putting down, you are aware of these forces, and you really want to position your business to withstand competition and excel through competition so that 18 months from now, you're not only still standing, but you have generated real wealth for yourself and your family, then I strongly encourage you to check out powerpresenceposition.com and apply. Okay, my friend, thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode. Hope you got a ton of value. If you appreciate the podcast episode, I would so love it if you would take some time to leave me a review on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you love to leave reviews. I would so appreciate it. Okay, have an awesome day. Have an awesome day. Take care. If you love this show, then you will love even more my missives, i.e. my emails. If you're not on my email list yet, I strongly encourage you to sign up at eleanorbeaton.com/join. Now, when you go and sign up for my email list, you will quickly discover why some of the most popular, well-known, and influential voices in the world of women's entrepreneurship quietly, studiously, consistently open every single email I send out because they want to be inspired, they want to be entertained, and also I think they really want to connect with a woman like myself who's in full command of her voice and is willing to open up and share her thinking, her ideas, and her story. I promise you that on this email list, you are going to be entertained. You are going to hear really valuable tips about stepping into your power as a leader. And you're also going to get fun insight that I do not share anywhere else. Go to eleanorbeaton.com/join. And I promise you it will be the highlight of your inbox.